Yeah, we are back. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Beyond Click and Clip. This is a podcast where I tell you about life experiences, stories, and all that good jazz, and tell you what's on my mind, and just have you, and just let you in my life beyond my Lego collection. Yes, I am a Lego YouTuber. That's where I do 99.9% of my content, but this channel here is beyond all that. This is more personal. Get to know me, and I get to know you guys. More personal on a personal level, and I get to tell you my stories growing up and all that stuff, and we get to know each other a little bit better. That's the plan. Um, Something for you to listen to while you work, or you're cleaning house, or whatever the case may be. Um, Man, let me fix my camera there. Um, but yeah, that maybe something you hackle me with, I can make your day a little bit better. I don't know. That's what I'm hoping is anyway. Um, but anyway, last week I kind of told you about my air condition uh, being put in and all that stuff. But today we're just gonna tell a story of my childhood of some sort, maybe a couple of them. Um, See here, I can let me set the scene for you. I always went to church all my life. And this ain't really about relax. This podcast ain't about religion or politics. It's just a story, a childhood story. I've heard other churches have church camps. Summer camps to go to, and in the summertime. And I remember I took part in that when I was little. There was this camp called Little Blue Bible Camp, and my uncle, he's a preacher, and he was what they call directors. A bunch of churches got together, and the preachers were called directors down there in the camp. They kind of made sure everything was running good and everybody was safe, and kind of ran the week. There was like they did like 4 or 5 different sessions throughout the summer, and they were week long sessions. So they took 4 or 5 preachers, and they would be a director. And my mom would only let me go when my uncle was the director. That week of that my uncle was director, which is cool. I love my uncle. I love it was all right. I mean, but of course it was you know boys and girls, but there was a line, and there's an imaginary line. There's a bathroom was on top of the hill, women on one side, boys on the other. Then the line from that was a water fountain. Then the mess hall at the bottom of the hill. And there was that line that boys couldn't go over and girls couldn't go over. And so, of course, the teenagers, the high schoolers, they're the Mac Daddies. Always we always hung around the the drinking fountain. That was the hangout where the boys and girls can talk and go and carry on and I think there was a couple times where the counselors had to go break that up a little bit because uh, maybe a little more flirtation than the counselors were wanting them. And there was like I forget how many cabins. There was like 5 or 6 cabins per side, and had like 6 bunk beds, and they were age grouped. You got like the younger children, and the next, and so on and so forth. And of course, my cousin, he was older than me. Um, they they thought they'd play a little prank on us little kids, and of course, each cabin had a counselor, had a usually a youth minister or or a high schooler who volunteered, and they were the counselor for that cabin, where they kind of our leader, tell us what activities, what time to go, and get us there. It could be swimming, sports, the Bible study, food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The activities. He made sure we got to the activities on time and there as a group. Uh, but all day, the seniors, we called them. Of course, last year they were there. And of course, like I said, he was a few years older than me, and I remember he they would tell us about start telling us scary stories, and they'll start early in the morning. And I said, "Man, do y'all hear them wolves out there? Wolves out there?" Well, and then sorry about that. I had to go check on some things. Somebody came to the door. How dare they? But yeah, but yeah. So they tell us, like I said, they would tell us every morning about wolves. Kind of ironic. I said wolves. My dog barked. Anyway, I'm sorry. Back at the story. He'd tell us every morning. Did you all hear them wolves last night? Hear about them wolves coming into camp and scratching? And I'm like, no. A little kid, that's terrifying. Thinking about wolves, you watch these movies where like the Wolf Man, and you're afraid that things are going to happen, right? So all day they keep on poking the bear. Like they keep saying, man, that usually come out when it gets dark. I looked at my cousin, I'm like, what? I was skeptical. My cousin just looked at me and just kind of shrugged his shoulders. So yeah, sorry about that. Keep getting interrupted. This is gonna be a heck of a podcast tonight. Back to the story. They all day. That first night comes around and we're kind of listening out there. Nothing's happening. Nothing happened that first night. We come out and we start hearing stories. There was some scratching and howling going on in the cabin on the other side of the camp. On the girls' side. We started thinking, no way. Of course, we couldn't go back there to see if there's any marks because we're not supposed to be. Boys are not supposed to be on that side of the line. Forbidden. So, therefore, we get to go through the activities and get through the day. That night, we stayed awake a little bit longer, just so we can make sure we're okay. That night, nothing happened in our cabin. Next day, people start talking. Dude, the teenage boys' cabin got attacked last night. Like, come on, guys, this is crazy. No way, not happening. And this happened every night. Different cabins was getting attacked, and there was, all these rumors. So I went to my Uncle Bill. I said, "Is there really woods?" He said, "Probably. We're in the middle of the woods." I'm like, "Oh, come on." But, well, one evening, I think it was Friday, and it was the last day of the camp, last evening, because we all went home Saturday. And Friday night came. We had our last little campfire, singing and the little Bible stories and stuff like that. And we're headed back to the cabin. And I laid down and said, well, I told my friends that were there, maybe they forget us this time. Well, nope. This time, heard some ruffling around the cabin. I started looking. My eyes got big. I want y'all to think too. I was only like 6, 7 years old. So I was pretty naive. And there's some wrestling. Next thing you know, I start hearing some howling, whatever. And my eyes started getting bigger. and I started hearing scratches by the windows. So, yeah, we screamed, we hollered, we go, whoa. And then next thing I know, I got out, we all got out of bed and ran out of the cabin and started running around to see it. And Lord and behold, who was there? My cousin and his friends. I said, he was, eh? My cousin they started laughing. You guys, we went to bed. It was a joke all week, man. Got us anticipating all this stuff and scared and excited, and it was just them playing jokes. Next morning, of course, the morning social breakfast, they get up and they tell everybody what happened. It was a big old weak joke, and everybody laughed. It turned out funny. It was like you got. Just just oh we there's different stories, different cabins, man. What are we gonna do? And and all that stuff. It was a good time, and I think there's a tradition of that ever since. And or they couldn't use wolves again because I was already told, so I had to come up with something new the next year and the next year. And of course, I moved away. We moved. I didn't go back. Um, but those were good times, though, man. I loved the bubble camp thing, man. We swim. They had a swimming pool. It was a camp out in the woods with cabins and you walked everywhere. There was a trail you walked to go to the church. There was an old church in there that we went in there and had church and singing. Had a mess hall where you eat your food, and then there was swimming. They had a baseball field there, pavilions to sit there and, and it was just fun. All day we had fun doing stuff, and I kind of miss that. My daughter did experience that camp one time. Uh, my cousins got her and took her there. Um, it was a good old time. I kind of miss that now growing up and stuff. So, um, yeah, it was a good old time. I wish I was young again. Now there's other camps out there, of course. I'm just telling the one I went to. It was a pretty good. It was nice. It was very enjoyable. I enjoyed it. Things you remember as a child, man. I'll tell you. There's other good times out there. I know that I met a lot of friends. And my friends went there together. It was just a good old time to congregate. But guys, that's the story of today. I'm sorry for all the interruptions. But we got through it. Told you an awesome story of my childhood. Hope you enjoyed it. Man, if you do, make sure you hit the like button. Share it. Comment. Tell me what you think of my naiveness and getting scared. And subscribe if you're not subscribed. Guys, I'm going to end this today. Like I always say, be good to one another. Be somebody's light, somebody's darkest cloud. Somebody could be having a bad day, and simple hello from you or how you doing could brighten their day. Treat others how you want to be treated. If you treat somebody with respect, 9 times out of 10, they're going to give you respect back. So be nice. You get mad at somebody or get hateful, they're going to be hateful back. 9 times out of 10, unless you're customer service. I don't know. But I'm sure I've fell short a bunch of times in that manner, and I'm trying better. Guys, until the next one, have a good one. Bye-bye.